Welcome back. This video is going to be all about getting stuff back in the engine bay and getting ready to put that motor back in. How far will I get? I've got no idea, but let's get as far as we can. I've already started. First thing I actually put back in was that. I think that's one of the mounts for the grill. Don't know where that one is, but I got that one, and then there's a center one there, so I'll have to find that. So we've got to find all the stuff that goes back in. I have put the bonnet release cable back in, so that's done. I didn't bother masking up the throttle cable because I'm getting a new one because this one is shagged. That nut there doesn't adjust, so it's unadjustable. So there's a new one of those coming, but I'm not going to take that one out till I get it because I won't remember how to put it back in. The booster is ready to go back in. So that's probably the first thing I'm going to start with, but again, I've got to find the bolts and the clip to clip it to the brake pedal, and I've got to remember how that goes back in. And there's a plastic sleeve that goes on the back of that. I did misplace that, but found it. So let's start with that, eh? I found this bag that says brake booster and master cylinder, so I'm guessing that's the one I want. So we'll need to clean up. That's the bracket that holds the master cylinder steady when you press the brake pedal. And there's that clip that goes on the back of the pedal. So that's the bag that I'm looking for. Wow, would you look at that? The booster is back in. I've only got the bolts finger tight. Getting the rod hooked back up to the pedal was not a fun thing to do, but a bit of a taparoo, and I got it on, and all I need to do now is tighten up those bolts, and then we'll move on to something else, eh? Well, I have been a busy little chap this afternoon. Left-hand brake line, right-hand brake line, and master cylinder on. Now, the right-hand brake line wasn't very much fun. If you do go back to the video when I had to take that out, I had to cut it off, the hose off the caliper, and bend that so I can get it out. So remaking the new shape was not fun. Now, why all the towels on there? I'm putting the towels on there because I don't want it. If it leaks, I don't want it to get on the paint. So I've put that there as protection. There is fluid in the reservoir. I don't want to drain it because I don't want to have to re-bleed the master. So that's why I've left some fluid in there. But don't want any fluid to drip out of those 3 fittings and then onto the new paint and ruin it. So that's why there's some cloths there just for backup protection. If we go to the right-hand wheel well here, I know it's dark, but I do have that fully in the hose with the clip on underneath as well. because, as mentioned before, the whole rebending of everything that had to change shape to be able to get it out with half a hose on it, all that kind of stuff. Passenger side I haven't done yet. So that's just resting in position there. So we'll get that fixed up quite shortly. I also put the radiator mount rubbers in down the bottom there. So coming together nicely. I tell you what, it is quite hard and difficult trying not to scratch everything. But we'll soldier on and see what's up next. Next day, no leaks, so that's a good thing. I do have a couple of new items. I have the headlight clip things that the headlights sit on the bodywork, and I got a new throttle cable to replace the painted ones. So I guess we'll start with the headlight clips. Now the big question is which way around do they go? Is it that way with the angle to the front, or is it that way so the headlight doesn't fall out? I don't know. What do you think, Zena? How about you get a headlight and try? All right, good idea. I'll give that a go. All right, so a quick look on the old Google machine. It looks as though they go that way. So let's get the rest of them in. At least these are from Rare Spares and seem to fit relatively well, so that's a good thing. There we go. Installed. That was an easy job. It's a cold Saturday here, everyone. Just been doing some cleaning. The bracket for the master cylinder that bolts from the end of the master cylinder to the strut tower, that was quite rusty, so I've sanded that, primed it, and just waiting for the primer to dry. And I've been cleaning the bumper irons. As per the rest of the car, the passenger side was caked in grease and oil, and the driver side was quite clean. So they're degreased. Next thing is to sand them back, a little bit of rust on them. We'll get them in some black paint and keep going. I'm thinking when the primer dries, black paint for that too. Kind of will match the booster, I guess. You don't want it, well, I don't really want it sticking out too much. I, however, did find the last brake clip for the hose. That is now all together. Haven't checked to see if that one's got any leaking. Not that any fluid will come through there yet because I haven't pumped the pedal. I'll wait till I get that bracket on there. I did check that one, gravity bled and was leaking, didn't have it up tight enough, so I've nipped that up and that seems to have stopped, so that's good. So still so far no leaks on there. I'll get back to you with some more progress. A bit more progress on the master cylinder. I've got that bracket on. I decided to go with just plain silver to try and blend in with the body of the master cylinder. So a bit of silver paint I had lying around, so that's painted, all bolted up, pumped the brake pedal, and that line was leaking down there. So I've nipped that up a bit more and it seems to be fine now. So those brakes can be bled when I find someone to help me. I've got the bumper brackets painted and ready to go back on. And also I have got the ID tags out and they were filthy, so I decided that I would give them a wax and degrease clean, and they've come up pretty well, so they're about ready to go on. And did notice that while welding up some of the bits down here from the old battery tray, a bit of weld went into that hole there, so I had to punch that out because that's where one of these tags goes. Not that one, but for video purposes, one goes there and one goes there. So besides dropping them on the ground, they're pretty much ready to go back on. So next up will be the tags and the bumper irons. And it is raining and dark and cold. Welcome to winter. Okay, I thought it was about time for an update. As you can see there, the ID tags are back on, so now it has its identity back. I've got the bumper irons on. If we look up in here, wiper motor is also back in place. And I have been trying to bleed the brakes by myself. Calipers got all the air out, but I still reckon there's air somewhere in the system because the pedal is still quite spongy. And that is my one-man bleeder kit. So I've just been pumping the brake pedal, holding it down and then sticking the brick in front of it, and it holds on there. So getting some air out, but really do need another person to hold the pedal down and push as I crack the bleeders. I have started to muck around with the power steering lines. Decided that what I came up with after taking the engine back out and rigging up some things, I don't like those, so I'm trying to use a bit of mix of both. So this is the Statesman power steering line. So what I've done is cut the end off that because that end will not screw into the steering box, and I needed to change these nuts because they were opposite on that box, but I can't use this end because it's got a nice little twist and kink in it. So I've ordered a new piece of that. That's on its way. And I've also ordered a new flaring tool as mine broke, so just waiting for that. Now on the VK, the end that holds that goes into the steering box is just a double flare. So when that tool comes, I'll put a double flare on the end of that with that nut on, of course, and that will bolt in nicely. Probably going to have to remove this because that's not needed. I can go either way on the low pressure side, as you know, they're neither here nor there. However, the VK one is a bit worn out and probably about to burst soon, so probably stay away from that. And this is the Statesman one. Again, cut the end off and put the smaller nut on that. We'll double flare that and be able to bolt that somewhere in near the K-frame, and then we'll just attach rubber line up to the return on the pump. So that's the plan. Whether it works or not is remain to be seen. I won't know that until I get the flaring tool and start putting it back together. Other than that, I don't think there's that much more that I can put on before the motor goes back in. So it's getting close. It is getting close. I'll keep you updated with any more updates. Not much of an update, as I'm still waiting for the flaring kit and the other half of that transmission line to show up. So there's not really much that I can do. I have gave the K-frame a little bit of a clean and realised that that needs to be painted. I wish I had have done that before the engine bay, but that's life. So unfortunately, that's where I'm going to have to leave this video here. Next video, we'll get some more stuff done and see how far we get. Thanks for watching. Ciao, ciao.